Good afternoon, Rupert.
Good afternoon, Donald. How are you?
I'm fine, thanks. How are you?
Yeah, not too bad.
Yeah, it's been a roundabout way that we've met through a colleague of yours, which is absolutely brilliant because just talking to him has answered some questions already, which I'm sure we're going to go into. But there's several reasons why I do this thing. And if people go on our website, they'll see a lot of what we do and why we do this. What I always do is thank people for agreeing to do this because sometimes I contact people and they don't want to do it. Yeah. But you've jumped to the chance and I'm saying thank you for that. Yeah.
Always looking for the limelight.
Nothing wrong with that, especially if we've got a story to tell. Absolutely.
Oh, I don't know if I've got a story to
So
tell.
I'm going to go through a series of questions here. I'm going to start with where were you born?
Um, well, recently, if I turn the camera around, you'll actually see the balloon still up. So I was 60 a couple of weeks ago. I was
Wow.
born in March 1964 in Birmingham, a place called Sorrento Hospital
All right.
in, in Moseley.
The second city, eh? Birmingham.
Oh no, still the first one.
Yeah.
London. No.
Yeah. Yeah. So are you have you got siblings and all of that?
Yeah, so I've got two brothers and a sister.
Yeah.
Unfortunately, my sister passed away through cancer just about 18 months ago.
Oh, sorry to hear that. Sorry to hear that.
Uh, but yeah, still got two older brothers. I'm the youngest of four.
All
Uh,
right, okay, okay. So what's your heritage then, sir?
well, only me and my brother, that's 3 years older than me, were born here.
Mm-hmm.
Everyone else was born in Jamaica. So
Okay, okay. Yeah,
in
so say again.
St. Elizabeth.
Oh, St. Elizabeth. Something is it a place that you visited?
Funny enough, my brother was 60 during COVID. So asked him what he wanted for his birthday, and he wanted to go to Jamaica with his
Wow.
brother. My other brother couldn't make it because my mum had dementia, so he was looking after my mum at the time. So it was just me and him that went, and we did. We went down. We saw my mum's old school. Still got a small bit of family there, so we went over and spent the day with them. And they took us round the sites.
Fantastic.
We did a video call with my mum.
Oh, wait.
Luckily, it was a good day for her, and she remembered
Yeah.
everybody.
Really?
Absolutely brilliant.
That's fantastic. Was that your first time back to Jamaica?
No, my wife's a travel agent, so
Oh
I've
well.
been there a couple of times.
Nice one. I like it. I like it. So you've got connection to your roots then, your heritage, so to speak.
Yeah.
Yeah, brilliant.
And my eldest brother that was born there, he does a lot of the ancestral things as well. So he's been
Oh,
sorting out the family tree and going from there.
excellent, excellent, excellent. Um, so you went to school, did you say in Moseley?
No, I was born in Moseley, but we
Yeah.
lived in Kingsley for most of my time in Oz.
Okay, okay. Is that where you
So
went to school then?
yeah, so I did Kingsley Junior, Infant and Junior School, and then I went to Wheelers Lane, which was a secondary modern then. I don't know what they class
Right.
it nowadays. But my
How was
two brothers went there, so it was almost like the family trait. So I did
okay, okay,
followed their,
okay, okay. Little brother follow suit. Yeah. So
followed,
how was schooling for you?
pardon?
How was schooling for you?
Yeah, it was all right. We were all very good at sport, so that was probably our little thing. So it was nice that my oldest brother, he set a few records. Then my other
Right.
brother, he broke them, and then little brother came along and happened to be the biggest out of the three of us, and broke their records as well. So
So did you say you're the biggest out of the three of you?
yeah,
Wow, wow, wow. So talk about records then. Like what sort of sports did you do?
well, we played all sports, but
Okay.
mainly all three of us were footballers, and all three of us were athletes. We had
Okay.
slightly different events. My eldest brother, he was like a 400-meter and a high jumper, which was a bit weird because he's actually the shortest one of us. Yeah. Me and my other brother Ray, we were both sprinters, 100 and 200 meters, and then we did things like London triple jump as well.
Fantastic, fantastic. So your school days were pretty good then because of your sporting prowess, would you say?
Yeah, and we're little swats as well to a certain extent.
Oh yeah, oh excellent.
Yeah. All prefects, and me and my eldest brother both stayed on to the sixth form, and we both became head boys as well. So, brilliant. So, did you know what you wanted to do when you left school, or what? Yeah, mine was a little weird one. When I was 11, 12, we got asked to do a project on anything we wanted, and I did a project on the Royal Navy.
And what? Sorry, you did a project on the Royal Navy. Why was that?
I was just about to say I have no idea why.
Okay.
Probably because I was young and impressionable, and I like the uniform.
Okay. Yeah.
And I did a project on the Royal Navy, and I pretty much decided there and then that I was going to join the Navy.
Wow.
Having never been anywhere near, well, we had day trips to the seaside, etc., but never been on a ship or anything like that. So yeah.
Did you give any consideration to the other armed forces, the RAF or the Army?
I did think about the Army, and I had a couple of mates, and they were joining the Army. And the one day we all went down to the careers office together, and while we were there, they wanted to join two different things, but I wanted to join the REME. And they says to me it was an 18-month waiting list, and I was like, oh, no. I'm not waiting 18 months. I'd already done sixth form, so it would have been like 19 and a half, 20, coming to the time to join. So I went to the Royal Navy careers office, and they have what they called an artificer apprenticeship, and I signed up for that. So it was a minimum of 9 years, and I was like, no, happy with that. I'll do 9 years. The first 4 or 5 years was basically being at university. So a lot of the stuff that I did for my A levels was basically the first year, going over all that, and then you did a diploma, BTEC diploma. It's now a foundation degree that they get out the end of it. But you also have a year where you did sea training, so it was basically hands-on training. So you got assigned to a ship and did that.
That's right. Oh, that's quite something. I mean, did you do well, I suppose everybody does it. Basic training, square bashing and all that sort of thing. How long was that?
That was only 6 weeks for us.
Right.
And that was basically learning how to march, iron, get yourself relatively fit. I was relatively fit anyway, playing all the sports.
Right. Yeah.
I mean, in today's society, it's classed as bullying. But,
back in the day, it's how it was.
For me, it was all character building. Again, I was slightly older than some of the kids there because some of them were 16. I was 18, and having my brother, who was at the time was in the Royal Marines.
Oh, okay.
So having him talk to me about a few things. Any time people came and give you a hard time, and they're like, if you're not happy, just put your notice in, you can leave at any time. I was sitting there and talking to the guys and going, this is not the Navy. This is just public school. We're just going to go through this. Once we're through this, we're fine. We're still getting a bit of it, but you get each entry every 3 months. So I says, we've got to last 3 months as the new entry, getting all this. The next entry is going to come behind us, and they're going to take the heat off us. This is nothing, Right. So I managed to talk a few people through and help them, guide them through as well, and stay the course. So yeah.
So it's always nice to have a bigger brother, isn't it? Possible, if you possibly can, isn't it? It helps.
Oh, definitely. I mean, it helps in that sort of situation because it wasn't brand new to me. And again, we grew up in a house where, the three of us, I'm 9 years younger than my eldest brother.
All right.
So yeah,
Yeah,
so
yeah. That's great. That's great. So you know,
he brought me up, or in, nowadays it'd be he bullied me, but he brought me up, toughened me up. Say no hassle off anybody.
I like that. I like that. Yeah. So you know, you signed up to come on Tisifa. Did you know what that was when you signed up? You know.
Yeah. It was it was a 5-year apprenticeship.
Yeah.
We had 3 types of artificers. We had electrical, mechanical, and then what we called the air fleet arm,
Right.
which is equivalent to the RAF of the Navy.
Yeah.
But the other 2 are basically split up. So you got heavy mechanical and electrical mechanical, and then you got heavy electronics, and then you got the light electronics, which is things like radars, etc.
Okay. So which one did you choose?
The one I chose was the one I didn't end up doing. I chose the mechanical engineering.
Okay.
But I ended up as an electrical engineer.
Okay. And that suited you fine, I guess.
Yes, to a certain extent. I'll be honest, my mum and dad always drilled it into us, get yourself a trade. So no matter what you did, you always had something to fall back on. So, you know, hence the reason I wouldn't go for something like the infantry. Absolutely nothing wrong with the infantry. But when I would leave the force,
I get
going, what can I really do? So that was my big thing. Something that I would learn a skill, and it's a lifelong skill. There's lots of other lessons you learn in the forces, but you know that was the main one.
Yeah. So what sort of length of training was that?
It was 5 years.
5 years.
Yeah. So you did a lot of schoolroom. Like I say, it was almost like being back at university to a certain extent.
Right.
A couple of years. Well, first 3 years was in a classroom doing all the theory side of it, and then you got a year where you did your year C training. You got assigned to a ship. You get a task book that thick. You go around every section as a WE weapons engineer. You went around every section. So you know, I was on the radars, the sonars, the guns, the small weapons, so rifles as well as the big anti-aircraft weapons, the hydraulic side of it. We did it all.
So when you say you go around it, it means that you went into these particular sections for a period of time, like a day or 2 or 3 or something like that?
Yeah, so your 12 months was split up. Some sections were obviously bigger than others, so you'd get, say, 4 weeks, 5 weeks in that section. Other sections were quite small. And you also did an admin section as well. So because as an apprentice, you were seen as, or as an artificer, you were seen as you got your promotion really quick.
Yes.
So with 8 years, I was a chief petty officer.
Wow.
You know, to do that, you also spent a bit of time with the senior ranks, and they would talk you through bits and pieces with regards how the admins would work and things like that. So you'd have a basic knowledge because you were going to get pushed through quite quickly, and it was going to get thrust upon you as well as a technical.
Yes. How did you manage all of that? Did you find yourself quite easily fitting into that, or was it very challenging, or what?
Oh no, it was challenging. I'll be honest with you. I would say I've got more of a mechanical brain. So
okay.
I can see things, and if you push something, I can see that moving, and that's going to result in this. Where electricity is, it's coming down that wire, and you're going, what's going where? Why does that affect that? How does that affect that? So that was a lot more difficult for me. So I preferred a bit more the hydraulic side of it.
Right. So why did you go? I think you said you first chose the mechanical side, and you ended up doing the electrical side. So what happened there?
That's not a good side. We did a lot of workshops, and my hand coordination skills were not the best.
Okay.
We shall leave it there.
Yeah, I didn't. I hear you. Yeah. Okay.
Theory, I could talk to you all about it theory wise. In theory, I could take an engine apart.
Mm.
Physically, I would probably have difficulty fixing it, making new parts for a broken bit. If I could get someone else to do all that for me, that'd be a piece of cake. Then I'd be like, yeah, we can do that. I can do that, and that. You just need to do those. Which, again, to a certain extent, you're looking at it being, yes, that's your job to be able to turn around and say, that's what we need to do. We need to make a new one of these, take this out, take that out, make a new one of those. But you may have the young lads that haven't got the experience or haven't one of those that didn't have the skills to do it. So in the end, it was, well, let's become a WE. You don't have to make all those things. Because now I've got a lot of friends, mechanical engineers, friends who have left the forces, and on Facebook, they've bought themselves a lathe and they're knocking out these little toys and all the rest of it. And I'm I'll pay you to make me one of those.
Yeah, but I mean, your switching side wasn't the problem. So, it's the path of life. You fit into where best suits you. Yeah. So what was your experience then, your first time on board ship?
1986. Yeah. I was on HMS Illustrious. We were due to sail around the world. It was known as Global 86. And the first night out, my mum came down with my gran and brothers and sister came down to wave us off because they weren't going to see me for 10 months. And unfortunately, we had a massive fire first night out. Came close to abandoning ship.
Really?
Yeah. So we limped back into port the following morning. My fiance at the time, she got a phone call. Well, actually, it was one of her friends that saw it on the TV. About us coming back, and she says, "Oh, what ship's it your Rupert's on?" And she goes, "Oh, it's on HMS. That's the name of it. It's just come back." As it was, she worked for British Telecom, so she managed where nobody else could, or very few people could do it. She managed to get through a phone call for me. I says, "Yeah, I'll be home at the weekend." But that's all I can say.
Yeah.
So I got some lovely pictures, and it was quite a close near death experience.
Really,
not just for me, but for a lot of people.
Was it like a below deck atomic or what? What happened there? The fire. So
basically, it was an engine room fire.
Okay.
One of the engines blew up, and yeah.
Wow. Just I suppose just as well you weren't far out to sea where you were you? What?
No, we were quite close because we'd only sailed. It happened overnight. And to be quite honest, I'd not long gone to bed when the alarm went off. So,
was that your first experience on board ship then? Was that the first time you've been on there to sail away, or have you?
Yes. 1986. So I joined in 1982, and I first went away, and it was just after my birthday. So it was end of March, 86 that we were due to sail.
Wow. So there were all of you then. I suppose most of you were quite new to the the Navy, yeah. And then you experienced this sort of thing. I mean, what were your thoughts after that?
To be honest, it was just one of those things that happened, and it could have happened to basically any ship.
Oh, okay.
It's probably no different to driving your car down the road.
Yeah.
A piston comes flying out the bonnet.
Yeah. So after that, then you went off on your 10 months, was it?
Well, we stayed. We got the repair. It became quite a political thing to get us out because we were going out for the Australian Navy's 75th anniversary, so we had to get to Australia.
All right.
So we managed to get all the repairs done. We missed half the trip, but we made it out to Australia.
Wow. I mean, like, how long does it take you to get to Australia?
It wasn't. It's not just a straight journey. So,
right.
So when we sailed, we called into Gibraltar. Then we hit a few other places. We were only actually at sea. Well, I was only actually at sea for about 2 weeks at a time.
Right.
And then call into a port, maybe overnight, maybe 24 hours, or sometimes it's 4 or 5 days that you call it. but it was all planned. So we would hit Brisbane at a certain date.
Right.
So yeah.
Right. So you started your travels, seeing all these different parts of the world, different country, as a young man. That's what you wanted, I guess, right?
Oh, absolutely loved it. Hated it and loved it at the same time.
Yeah, yeah. When you say you hated it and loved it, I can understand the love bit, traveling and all that sort of thing. What was the hate side?
It was just being away from home for that long. Even
Right.
though I left at home at 18, joined the Navy. But again, I could go home of a weekend. I was going home and playing football of a weekend.
Right.
For the day. So this is the first time that I'd had an extended period away from home.
Yes. Yes.
That was probably about the only thing. I won't say I was massively homesick, but
Yeah.
Again, when 90% of people, when they seem to go on holiday, they go, yeah, 2 weeks, that's enough. Ready to go home now.
I get that.
So it was just that 6 months.
Yeah.
So
where were you based when you first joined the Navy? Which was it?
I was based in a place called HMS Fizguard in Tor Point, Plymouth.
Plymouth. Okay. So there you are, 10, however many, 6 months, going to all these different countries, out to Australia. What was that complete journey like? I mean, was it for a young man going away all that time? What was it like?
Oh, I won't say every day was a party day. When we're at sea, we worked quite hard. Again, like I say, I had my task book like that I had to work through. So I was constantly trying to get all that sorted, done.
Wow.
And it was you're moving around. So once you sort of got to grips with one section, you were suddenly right. Now it's time to move on to the next section. Right, I've got to start again.
Yes.
And so it was a lot of that. When you got to the different ports, I don't know if it's the same in the other forces, probably. But with the Navy, they put up a list and say, or put up a map. Right, these are the places to avoid.
And those are the places that you went, right?
Oh, right. So you're telling me that's places I've got to go. So yeah.
I hear you.
Luckily, I'll be honest, we never saw any trouble or anything like that. So whether or not these places were as bad as they made out,
yeah.
I don't know. But no.
Brilliant. So what happened then? You've done your 6 months and whatever long, and you returned back to Plymouth?
No, went back to HMS Collingwood, which is our training school there. So in Portsmouth, you've got HMS Collingwood, HMS Sultan, and HMS Daedalus. They're the three big training schools for the weapons.
Okay.
For the Navy.
Right.
And I finished off my apprenticeship there, and I got my first promotion.
Wow.
While I was there, or when you come back, assuming you've passed your task book, etc., you get your promotion. So I became a leading hand, Lance Corporal, Army, etc. So it's the biggest pay rise you ever get.
Okay. So plenty of money in your pocket then, and off to meet the girls, no doubt.
No, I was happy with the one I had.
Oh, all right.
You go back there, and then they start looking at streaming you for basically your career.
Okay.
I
got
talking to a few of the older guys because again, there's a couple of ways of doing the apprenticeship. You can join up as an apprentice and work through, or you can do it as what we used to call a mechanician. So these people would have been in the Navy. Some of them would have been senior rates, petty officers, or some would have been leading hands when they started the course. But they've been in the Navy anywhere from 7 years up.
Yes.
Somewhere along the line, they would have turned around and says, "Oh yeah, do you fancy going back to Collingwood for 3 years to become an artificer?" Some of them would go, "Yeah, love to do that." Others would go, "Don't know if I really want to do it." But because again, it's for them going back to school, which they probably
yes.
And no disrespect to a lot of the guys there. There's some that probably didn't leave with any qualifications, and they just joined the Navy, joined that branch, and they got the experience through working, and that is priceless. like I said before, I could talk you through doing it. These guys could do it blindfolded.
Yes.
So it's that sort of thing. So talking to a couple of the experienced guys there, one of them actually said to me, says, because again, I says, I loved it, but I hated it. Didn't like being that away from family. Fortunately, loved up. So it was like, yeah, she wasn't happy about me being away, you know, and me going back to sea for 10 months at a time.
Yes, understandable.
2 or 3 years, and you get a short draft for maybe a couple of years and back away again. She wasn't overly happy with that. So basically, I had a chat with these guys and decided I'd become a submariner. So
right. So you decided that?
Semi-volunteered for it.
Okay.
I mean, each entry there we go, we need X amount of submariners.
Okay.
And the thing about if you volunteered, you can almost turn around and say, I volunteer, this is a job I want to do. And they'll go, oh, okay, we've got space for you for there.
Right.
What you could end up with is people going, no, none of us want to do it. And they go, unlucky, names out of the hat, bump.
Right,
blogs,
okay.
You've got it. And now you've got this draft and you're going, I don't want to do that course either. I don't want that. I don't want submarines, you know. And generally the Navy would lose those type of people. So I was like, you know what, let's give this a whirl. And this is the reason why I'm up in Scotland now. I volunteered and I became part of the nuclear deterrent.
Wow. So before you volunteered for the nuclear sub, did you have any idea what you were volunteering for? Did you know what it's all about?
Again, talking to these guys, that was the only idea I got. I had a chat with a couple of people and say, is it possible to, and they were like, because we were in Portsmouth and it was a 500-mile journey to get to Faslane, you know, and they're like, well, we can't really afford to send you up there just to have a look, you know, because then you probably won't like it or something. And it's like, well, surely that's cheaper to do it that way rather than send me up there and go, put me through all my training and go, first opportunity, my notice is going in because I really hate it.
Okay.
So, yeah, it's a bit, as far as I'm concerned, a bit backward thinking of the forces or the Navy. But as it was, again, when you joined up as an artificer, you had a minimum of 9 years. So basically I got there and I was like, yeah, I've only got a couple of years left to do. If it's really that bad, I'm out.
Right.
Out at the first opportunity. But again, it wasn't that bad. Came up, did my training up here. One of the fun bits was going back to Plymouth for my submarine escape training, which was, what's the word I want to use for that? It was an interesting experience.
Really?
Yeah, because again, you do all the theory, and it's one of the things that I've heard rumours that they're going to stop doing, and I'm really against them stop doing it. But it's one of these things that you've got to experience. When you're doing, a quick one, so when you're doing an escape from a submarine, there's two types of escape. There's a rush escape and basically a controlled escape. So in the rush escape, it's as you're dressed, basically a life jacket on. So what they say is head in water, breathe out, head in air, breathe normally. So you're doing this training. So the first one in head in water, get pulled out of the tank. You get a guy hold you there, make sure you're breathing out correctly all the way through. And it's like then he lets you go, lets you ascend up because obviously the life jacket will take you up. And I was breathing out, and he said, and they drill it into you so much. And it's like, don't stop breathing, don't stop breathing out, don't stop breathing out. You know, we do the things where you've got a wine bag coming up from the bottom and it inflates and it bursts. And he says, that's what's going to happen to your lungs, you know. And it's all like, yeah, okay, mate, yeah. You know, we're still young lads there going, yeah, I believe everything you tell me. So there's me coming out there. And I got to this stage where I was like, and I thought, I've got to stop breathing out. There's absolutely nothing left. And it is. And it feels like a difference of about that much in height. And all of a sudden, my lungs really expanded again. I was like, I'm so glad I didn't stop breathing out.
Really? Yeah. So can I ask? I mean, at what depth were you? How far down were you below sort of surface?
9 meters.
That's a good way down, right?
What was it? 2 meters. No, 9 meters. It's only about 20, 30 foot.
Yeah.
You know.
Yeah.
Um,
But that's a good way for somebody who, for you to not,
yeah.
go through that experience.
Yeah. And then you got the 100-foot one where you're coming up, but your head's in a suit and you're just like that. And again, even in that one, when you're in that situation where you've got the hatch above you, so you've got to equalise and all the rest of it. So you've got your suit plugged in, so you've got your air, so you can breathe normally. Then you're just watching the water, but any excess air will get expelled. So you've got a big hole under the bottom of your hood. So as it's pressurising, you're watching the water come up, and you're just going, "Why am I not drowning? Why is the water not coming up? Is that hatch going to open?"
Yeah.
Pull that bit, and the hatch opens, and you go, "Oh, I can just float out now."
Yeah.
I would say if you did that for the very first time, in a real scenario, an escape situation, you would definitely panic.
Yes. And that's why I was asked the question. Yes, I was far down, because it's naturally a situation where people would panic, isn't it? In terms of not breathing normally.
Yeah, and you're just going, what's supposed to happen? What's supposed to happen? Is it, and having done it, you watch the hatch open, and go for it all.
Right. So how would you describe your, how long did you do on the sub?
I did about 20, 26, 27 years as a submariner.
What? Really? Oh my God. So you must have gone all over the world then.
Can't tell you where I've been.
No. I'm not asking you to tell you where you've been, but I'm saying you must have gone all over. Yeah. I mean, because it's what you do, isn't it? And it's the nature of the beast.
Yeah. So I was part of the nuclear deterrent. So basically, we came out, submerged, float around, came back up, came back into port. That's it.
Wow. What an experience. And obviously, there's quite a difference being on ship to being in the submarine, right? Obviously, And then, of course, you're talking about being submerged for a good, days?
Weeks, months. I mean, my longest patrol was about 15 weeks, which is just coming up to 4 months. The guys now...
Sorry interrupting you there, but are you talking without surfacing, or are you talking about...
Yeah, without surfacing.
Really? So what does that do to the mind?
Well, I was lucky. So when I first became a submariner, our patrols were about 8 to 10 weeks. It was, as time went on, the patrol lengths lengthened. So the first couple of patrols is learning all about the submarine, learning all about your job. That's a big thing. Once you've got yourself qualified, you can almost, the early days, you could almost do anything that you wanted. And there was a lot of guys doing degrees and all the rest of it. So that's when they would take all their work and they would get, pretty much the whole year's work done in that 8-10 weeks, because there was nothing else to do.
Okay.
Movies to watch. You make your own entertainment. We'd have quizzes.
Right.
Anything, and we do stuff to raise money for charity, etc.
Yes.
Wow.
Was there any communication back to base? You're talking about family, whether it's girlfriend or wife or whatever. Was there like any communication at all in that time?
One-way communication. So we used to get what we called a familygram. In the early days...
A family what?
A familygram.
Okay.
In the early days, it was basically 40 words. Your first two were your name and your rate. And then the last one was generally who it was from. And you had 40 boxes, and they could put one word in a box, and that was it. They would send that, and you get one a week, but they wouldn't get anything back.
Wow.
So on paper, as part of the nuclear deterrent, we don't communicate anyway.
Okay.
You would go out, submerge. If the worst happened, that you basically sunk.
Yeah.
Nobody would come looking for you till the day you were expected to surface and send a signal off to say we've surfaced.
Really?
Yeah. Obviously, in that situation, if we were sinking for whatever reason, we would send off a communication or try and get communications away to say, look, we're in trouble. We need people to come look for us. But if something would have happened, people would not be looking for us until a certain date.
Wow, that's amazing. You know, did that take a while to get used to, or is it you just got into it and got on with it because it's the nature of the beast?
I would say I just got on with it. It's the nature of the beast. It was explained to you. Don't get me wrong, you know, every day you'd be going down to the mess going, there's a family gram for me. But again, most of us would turn around and say, right, I want you to post them every Monday, and that means I will get them on a Friday. You know, so you need to post it every Monday. So in that case, you know, you'd only go to the mess on a Friday, maybe a Saturday, and go, oh, have I got one? If you're unlucky in the post, and we know what Royal Mail's like, it would be, it may be the Thursday. But you've got to remember, they would write the family gram, they would send it in. So someone from our opposite crew would read the family gram, make sure it's all right, make sure they know who it's going to. It would then get transmitted to another place. They would check the family grams again before they got transmitted to the boat. The captain would read all the family grams to make sure that he was happy with the news that people were getting. So it wasn't going to be anything that was going to upset them or anything that was going to make them too happy. But that was something else that we used to do. We used to turn around and say, yeah, my wife's expecting, my father's not very well, potentially for him to die, things like that. So you wouldn't necessarily get that news.
Wow.
But the captain would be expecting it. And then on the way back in, or just as you submerged, it was the dreaded call to the captain's office. You know, the boss would come down and go, Chief Williams, you needed in the captain's office, and you're just like, we're on our way back in, we're on the surface. That's not good news, you know. So anybody, well, potentially not good news, you know, it could be a case of you going in and say, yeah, just to let you know, so-and-so is not very well. You're getting off on the boat transfer in the morning, go pack your bag, ready to go.
And that was it.
It could be someone's died. It could be something good like, yeah, your wife's given birth.
Right. And also personal individuals on board could fall sick, right? As well.
Yeah, we had a doc, we had a medical team, and it come down to their decision. So on patrol, there was 2 medical emergencies or 2 medical reasons why we surfaced and got people off. Okay. And one of the guys had appendicitis.
Right. That's an amazing world. I mean, to be submerged for that long, doing whatever you're doing, and you know the mindset. I guess people just get accustomed to being that way, right? Because it's not something you knew fully what. Well, I suppose you probably knew what you're going to do because you might have gone down before, but to go down there for that length of time is a long time, isn't it?
Yeah, but again, a lot of people. We wouldn't get told an exact date we're coming back because we needed another submarine to come out and relieve us. And if they had any problems, then that was our patrol extended.
All right.
We could go out and then within sort of like 24 hours, the captain would say, right, this patrol's expected to be such and such long, 12 weeks long, 10 weeks long.
Right.
And probably from that date, people will go, right, yeah. And they start making days to go. We used to call them days to go, Chip. And it was probably the worst thing possible that people would do.
Oh, you have this chuff chart that you tick the days off.
Yeah. In 20 days, I'll be home. 19 days, I'll be home. Yeah. And there's absolutely nothing worse than that. Because again, you could get to sort of 10 days to go and you're going, right, that other boat's going to be coming out to relieve us soon. And then it's the captain going, yeah, we're going to be out for, just to let you know, we're going to be out for another couple of weeks. We're slowing down. We're going to be out for another couple of weeks because they've got a problem. And then it's like, I've got to start again. And you're just like, no.
You know, being qualified to go on the sub, I think there are certain restrictions, aren't there, on a nuclear sub because you've got other subs. And of course, you have to meet certain criteria, don't you?
Yes, to a certain extent. But the majority of it is no different to joining the forces. So probably things like they were turning around, and I think it has slightly changed again now, that you had to have a British passport, you had to be solely British to operate certain bits of kit. And to be quite honest, I could never see the point of that. Because once you're on board, to a certain extent, you can see most things, not everything, and you'll be in touch with most things. Again, with ours, with the nuclear deterrent, there was probably 20 people maximum that knew where you were at any one time.
All right, okay. You know, I ask this because I know of people who came, for instance, born in the Caribbean and came here, and they weren't allowed to join on a nuclear sub, but they were allowed to do other subs because of whatever reason.
Yeah, and that, and the thing, I think part of that came from the treaty with the US, because it's basically US missiles that we lease off them. So yeah, and they do a lot, or we fall into line with a lot of their rules. So I know guys who I've worked with in the Royal Navy who have emigrated to America, and they're doing similar jobs with regards to the weapons system, but it's taken them a long time to be able to get certain criteria. They've got to become US citizens before they will let them do it, and basically renounce their British passport.
Yeah. Because I mean, I asked the question because there's quite a difference between nuclear sub and non-nuclear sub, isn't it? I mean, it's
When you say that to me, I think of the big difference is the nuclear weapons. There are nuclear-powered submarines that don't have nuclear weapons on as well. And,
okay.
So, but again, even with that, there's certain, and I don't know if it has changed, like with the looking after the reactor and a lot of the stuff with the reactor, that they will turn around and say, yes, you've got to be British to be involved in that. So there's a lot of other branches that you can do, but you can't be a mechanical engineer messing about with a reactor, or you can't be a weapons engineer messing about with nuclear weapons.
Okay. That's been quite a world that we've gone through there. Would you advise any young person? And by the way, that's all male, right?
It used to be. There's now female submariners.
Okay.
To my knowledge, we were the last boys only club.
Which was when?
I'm trying to figure. I left in 2013. I think it was probably about 3 years after that they had the first female on board.
Wow. That's quite an interesting thing there. Yeah. So you know, that's quite a world for anyone. Would you recommend it to any youngster?
I'll be totally honest, no.
Okay. So let me clarify this. That question was based on being a submariner. So what about being in the Navy, per se?
I'd say yes to being in the Navy. And I'll be honest with you, the only reason why I would say no to being a nuclear submariner, working with the nuclear weapons on those type of boats, two reasons. And it's one of the reasons that I said when I was in the forces, you get a lot of new guys that join up, and it's what I alluded to earlier on. They get drafted to nuclear submarines. 90%, if not 100%, of people that join the forces or join the Royal Navy will turn around and say, join the Navy to see the world. It's one of the things that you said about me in '86.
Yeah.
But if you're on a nuclear submarine, you're not going anywhere. You'll go out, you'll submerge, you'll float around, you'll come back up, and you're straight back into Faz Lane.
Wow.
The good thing about, or for me, the good thing about that was I didn't spend any money. I'd come back, I'd have 2 or 3 months' wages, and I'd go and book a holiday, and I would as I say to people, I would go on holiday where I wanted, with people I wanted to be with, and enjoy myself, as opposed to the Royal Navy holiday of turning up there because it's where we're going and going out with a bunch of guys that some you may not like, some you do like, etc. For me now, again, that's one part of it. The other part of it is I was reading on LinkedIn that the patrols now are about 6 months long, and that's far too long.
Wow. You see, what you're saying to me there, the lifestyle will suit some people and it won't suit others.
I would struggle to find people that, well, no, from what I've been told, some of the young lads are turning around and they're making a fortune, so they're coming back, they've got loads of money in the bank because obviously not being able to spend it. So they'll go out pretty much every time they come back from sea, they'll buy themselves a new car, bigger, fancier car. They may go on a bigger holiday and all the rest of it. The older lads or people with commitments, family and all that are suddenly going, you know what, money's not everything. I'm missing out on so many family things. I mean, it's a bad thing. My daughter's birthday is 11th of December, and I asked her what she wanted for her 16th birthday, and she says, I'd like you to be there on the day, Dad, because you've missed over half my birthdays.
Wow.
So things like that mean so much more.
Yes. So I can understand that why you're hesitant to actually say you recommend that, because life is life, isn't it? And once you missed out on it, you can't catch up on it again. I
know a lot of guys who waited till they were 40 odd and leaving the service before they had kids because they wanted to see them grow up. They didn't want to spend all this time away from them and not see them growing up. And I can fully understand that.
Right. So how many kids have you got?
Just the one.
Okay. Wow.
It was
so that person, your daughter is seeing daddy now. Oh, since you left.
Oh yeah. She now lives 300 miles away from me anyway. But we talk most days, video call a couple of times a week. Got a couple of grandchildren, so yeah.
Oh, great. So where do you live actually for the purpose of?
I live in Scotland, just outside Glasgow.
Outside Glasgow, and is that because of your naval sort of journey? Why you based in Scotland? You stayed in Scotland?
Yeah, I stayed in Scotland. Married to a Scottish girl, so.
Yeah.
What can I say? They eat the English, so I'm not allowed to go back.
Oh, that's fantastic. It's so good to compare the actual journey of an individual in the armed forces, be it the Navy, the Army, or the Royal Air Force, because it's quite different. And again, even the Navy, the difference with the submariner side of things is different to the normal Navy. One of the reasons I do these things is to share the experience of all of this to people, young people, especially who wants to actually do something different with their life. So it gives them that kind of sort of vision, of what's out there, And if you also look at the side of looking at our Black youngsters in schools, wherever they are, joining the forces is an avenue that they can actually learn, that they can access, because a lot of them don't even know that they exist. And when they find out that they exist, they don't know that people like yourself have served and what you've done. So I'd like to highlight this.
Yeah, I mean, again, I got asked this quite a lot, especially in the first 10 years. People would always say to me, is there a lot of racism in there? And I would turn around and say, yes and no. I would always say you've got to be a little thicker skinned to join the forces. And you may have felt exactly the same. But I would also say, and I don't know whether or not this is just a submariner thing or a Navy thing, it basically became that almost every day somebody else would be in the chair to have the mick taken out of them, and it didn't make a difference between you're black, white, Asian, Chinese or Oriental. you know, tall, short, fat, thin, glasses, hairy, bald. Everybody would get a chance. And as long as you could do your job and do your job reasonably well, as a minimum, you weren't work shy and all the rest of it, everybody got on. Yes, there'll always be some sort of personality clashes somewhere along the line. That wasn't necessarily because I'm black and they're white. You know, it would just be personality clashes.
Yeah.
And something.
So how long did you do altogether then in the Navy?
31 years, 2 months.
Wow. Yeah, fantastic. And what rank did you leave at?
I was a warrant officer second class when I left.
Okay, right. That's fantastic. So, you know, that journey is just fantastic. And to hear that you achieved something like that, which you wanted, probably followed off. Did you say one of your brothers in the submarine as well?
No, he was a Royal Marine.
Royal Marine, okay. Okay, right. So out of the three of you, two of you joined the forces and one didn't.
Yeah.
Oh, wow. Fantastic. It's nice to hear the journey of somebody who's actually enjoyed what they've done, and you obviously got a lot out of it. Is there anything that you would do different in terms of starting out again as an 18-year-old?
No, I think I would still join the Navy. A large majority of it I did enjoy. I would probably say the last 5 years I didn't enjoy it as much. And that was due to probably, and I would say this is probably happens to a lot of people, where you get to that stage where you're just getting too old for stuff and you're going, you know what? If you ask me a question, make sure you're ready to hear the answer and accept it. I can remember, and this is when I was running a section, I was warrant officer at the time, and we used to have a meeting, and I knew we had manpower problems throughout the Navy, and my boss sat there and he was talking to us all, and I was sat there going like that, and he just turned around and went, "Mr. Williams, stop shaking your head." And I says, "Sir, we can't do this. We haven't got enough manpower." 2 days later, we had not a clear lower deck, but again, the meeting was called a bit earlier than normal, and we're back there, and he says, "Right, bub," and I went, "Excuse me, sir, I was telling you this 6 months ago," and he goes, "No, the Navy's now told us we have a problem, so we have a problem." And I was like, you know what?
Isn't that something?
Oh, and it was things like that that got to me, where you turn around and go, I'm trying to help you here. We're trying to head it off at the pass. What can we do? And to me, people were burying their head in the sand. And then all that would happen is they go, "Right, we're going to throw money at it." And I was just like that, you know what? I can't handle this anymore.
Yeah. I get that. So you've left the Navy, and what did you decide to do?
Well, throughout the Navy, I'll get big-headed on this bit. Throughout the Navy, prior to the Navy, as I told you, I did a lot of sports. And my forte happened to become sprinting. So I happened to be the Navy champion for 100 and 200 meters.
Wow.
For 15 times in my career.
Really? Fantastic. That must be some sort of a record.
I don't know. I'll let them worry about that. but I was inter-service champion and that as well. But one day I basically turned up and I won the Navy championships, and the team manager came up to me and he says, "So what are you doing differently?" And I went, "What do you mean?" He says, "Well, you know, it might have been like the third or fourth time I'd won the Navy championships on the bounce." And he was like, he says, how are you doing this? I says, "Well, I'm probably training there, probably not training." And he goes, "Well, what training are you doing?" I says, "Well, I had a coach before, so I'm doing stuff there, and I'm talking." I basically talk to him and ask him what I can do. And he says, "Oh, would you like to be a coach and coach the Navy team?" And I went, "No." And he says, "We'll pay for it all, and you can do all that." And I went, "All right, then I'll do that." So at the age of 23, I became the Navy's sprints coach.
Really? At such a young age?
Yeah. So they paid for me to do that. And then I started coaching all the sprinting. So we had weekends. We organised weekends where we all got together, did some training, put little programs together for them to do, showed them how to train in small spaces. So when we're on board a ship or a submarine.
Okay.
Again, I'm just. This is just me being big-headed now. So feel free to cut this bit.
No. But this, I think this is extremely important to delve into the personal side of things that is so different that made you successful. You know.
Yeah. So I mean, like I say, I was on board a submarine, and people would know that there is no. Or when people will know, people will assume there is very little room to train on a submarine, which they're not too wrong about. So I would use a bike or a rower, do my training that sort of way. And I can remember coming back from sea. Within 2 weeks, we had the Navy Championships. I went down and I won the 100 and 200 metres. And people were just looking at me going, I thought you was at sea. I said, yeah, I got back sort of 10 days ago. And I come down, I've just done a bit of sharpening up and I've come to race. And they were like, well, how did you win? You know, I said, well, this is what I did at sea. So again, people going, I'm on board a ship, I can't do this. And I'll say, well, what ship you on? Like, what equipment have they got? So we would devise plans for that.
Wow.
And because I was so into athletics and the coaching side of it, even up at Faz Lane, basically all the athletics came through me. The PTs very rarely touched it, or they would turn around and say, what do you want me to do for you? And I'll go, can you do this, this, and this? Can you send this signal? Can you do that? Can you do this? And they would sort it all out do all the admin for me. And we would turn up and we'd go off and do all the races.
Fantastic. Yeah.
And again, I went to one submarine and it was in refit at the time. And I had one of the guys turn around and say to me, don't come and ask me to do any shifts for you, because Haslar, which is the naval hospital, it's full of people that have sportsmen that have injured themselves. And I was like, yeah, okay. So I would do a night shift, fly down to London, race, fly back up, go straight onto another night shift. You know, I'll be sleeping in between and all the rest of it.
Wow.
So, you know, and then you'd walk past the wardrobe and you'd hear the captain going, yeah, my boys have done this and my boys. And I'm like, your boys have done everything, sir, but you've done nothing for us. You haven't given me any extra time off. You've not given me any extra meals.
Yes.
You know, and it didn't make it whether you're black or white. That's what we did. You know, nobody gave us anything.
Which is a shame, really, because all that effort and somebody else takes the glory. You know, up top. So is that what? Do you do anything like that now in terms of sporting? Well,
yeah. So that's what I was alluding to. So doing all that, and I would turn around and say, you know, you got your education grant for each year that you can use when you're in the forces. So I was using that, and I was getting boxing qualified and all these other courses. So when I left, I became a personal trainer.
Okay. So that's what you do now.
That's what I am now, personal trainer.
Wow.
So I look after a gym. I work for Nuffield Health in Glasgow, one of the corporate sites. So yeah.
Fantastic. That must be quite enjoyable and fulfilling.
Absolutely. Love it 99% of the time when I'm making people swear.
Fantastic. Yeah. So listen, this has absolutely been great. So of you taking me on this journey. And I got to thank you again, because there's a lot that come out of it that I personally didn't know. And there's other people that will learn from this, you know. Have you got any questions at all about the forgotten generations?
No, I just need to have a flick through because while I've got a bit of extra time at the moment, I just want to flick through your website a bit more and listen to other people's stories.
Yes, because it's very wide. It's very, what can I say, deep and broad, because it's not based just on military. It's on everyone in terms of British, African, and Caribbean people telling their stories, because there's a lot of rich stories to be told. But in particular, the veterans, World War II veterans, especially those that are left. I've captured quite a few, but there are more to capture their stories and hear how they've got on. I mean, the way you've told how you got on, I've been listening to other people when they first came across from the Caribbean. Some said, my dad was here in 1914 in the First World War. I mean, what? And, you know, so he joined after his dad in the Second World War, etc., etc. It's been quite a journey. So to actually speak to yourself, whatever generations you were born here in Birmingham, England, telling your story of how you see that, I think it's just great. So I put it public so everybody can actually see and listen and get the benefit of it. Also, we do talks in schools, universities, all around to actually spread the word. Yeah. But we look at everyone in terms of whether you're a politician, whether you're a musician or anything. Yeah. So I encourage any and everybody to become a member of the Forgotten Generation. It's free membership so that you can get information on what goes on with our organization. So, yeah. So, Rupert, this has been brilliant. Thank you very much.
Oh, thank you.
And spread the words to your mates and family. All right. Thanks again.
Yes.